What makes a Western truly unforgettable? Is it the lonely figure riding across a sunburned horizon, or the violent clash between justice and raw human greed? Westerns are more than frontier legends. They are emotional storms built on grit, honor, and sacrifice. Today we count down the 12 greatest Western films ever made. Each one reshaped cinema forever. Number 12, True Grit, 1969. True Grit arrived at a time when the Western genre was shifting toward darker tones, yet this film stood proudly rooted in classical tradition. Its story follows Rooster Cogburn, a one-eyed marshal hired by a determined young girl to hunt down her father's killer. But beneath its simple premise lies a tale about resilience, loyalty, and the cost of courage. John Wayne delivered the most iconic performance of his career, transforming Rooster Cogburn from a grumbling drunk into a complex hero who earns redemption with every step of the journey. His portrayal earned him his only Academy Award, and it stands as a defining moment in American film history. The production itself was shaped by rugged landscapes, harsh winter conditions, and the demanding physicality of frontier action. Every gunfight, every horseback chase, and every frozen night added authenticity that continues to resonate decades later. The chemistry between Wayne and Kim Darby adds emotional depth, turning the film into a story about unlikely alliances forged under fire. True Grit became a cultural phenomenon, inspiring remakes, novels, and endless homages. It proved that classical Western storytelling still had the power to captivate audiences long after the genre was declared outdated. Through grit, determination, and a gripping sense of frontier justice, this film carved its place among the greatest Westerns ever made. Number 11, The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, 1948. While not a traditional Western, The Treasure of the Sierra Madre captures the brutal heart of frontier survival and human greed. Set against the harsh wilderness of Mexico, it follows three desperate prospectors who strike gold only to descend into paranoia, betrayal, and madness. It is a frontier tale stripped of glamour, exposing the raw psychology of ambition. Humphrey Bogart delivers one of his most haunting performances, playing Fred C. Dobbs, a man slowly undone by suspicion and desperation. His unraveling is so powerful that it helped redefine how cinema portrayed moral decay. The film also showcases Walter Houston, whose portrayal of an experienced prospector brought authenticity and world-weary wisdom to every scene. The production faced exhausting conditions, including scorching heat, remote terrain, and the challenge of filming far from Hollywood backlots. Director John Huston insisted on realism, pushing cast and crew through grueling shoots that ultimately gave the film its unforgettable atmosphere. Themes of greed and survival echoed across audiences and critics, establishing the film as one of the most influential frontier stories ever produced. Its impact continues today, inspiring modern tales about the corrupting power of wealth. This film stands tall not only as a masterpiece of human psychology, but as a visionary work that reshaped frontier cinema forever. Number 10, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, 1962. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is a profound meditation on truth, legend, and the painful cost of justice. Directed by John Ford, this film examines how the myth of the American West was built on stories both real and imagined. It follows a young lawyer who becomes a hero after confronting a notorious outlaw, but the truth behind his fame is far more complicated. James Stewart and John Wayne form one of the greatest acting duos in Western history. Their contrasting personalities create a powerful emotional clash. One represents law's rise over violence, while the other embodies the rugged individualism that shaped early frontier life. The film was shot largely on studio sets, creating a sharp black and white aesthetic that heightens the themes of memory and myth. The modest production design reminds viewers that this is not a traditional action western, but a philosophical exploration of legacy and sacrifice. Its most famous line, "When the legend becomes fact print, the legend has echoed through decades of film scholarship and cultural debate." Its message challenges the romantic image of the West, revealing that heroes are often born from messy truths rather than clean victories. With its emotional depth and narrative complexity, this film stands as one of the most important Westerns ever made. Number 9, Stagecoach, 1939. Stagecoach is the film that transformed the Western from low-budget pulp entertainment into a respected cinematic art form. Directed by John Ford, this groundbreaking feature introduced audiences to a new kind of frontier drama, one built on character depth, moral tension, and sweeping landscapes that redefined what the genre could accomplish on screen. The story follows a diverse group of passengers traveling by stagecoach through dangerous Apache territory. Each traveler carries personal burdens and secrets, reflecting the fractured dreams and fragile hopes that shaped early frontier life. John Wayne stars as the Ringo Kid, a role that propelled him from unknown actor to American icon. His entrance shot framed in a moving camera, close-up became one of the most legendary introductions in film history. The production broke new ground with its use of Monument Valley, whose towering rock formations would become synonymous with the Western genre. Ford insisted on filming in this remote area to capture the untamed spirit of the West. The result was a visual masterpiece filled with breathtaking horizons and dust-swept trails that elevated the film's emotional power. Stagecoach also introduced a new level of action choreography, featuring thrilling horseback chases and daring stunt work performed by the legendary stuntman Yakima Canutt. His techniques would revolutionize how Hollywood staged danger and physical conflict for decades to come. Beyond its technical achievements, the film explored themes of prejudice, justice, and human redemption. The stagecoach becomes a rolling crucible, forcing characters to confront moral truths that mirror the broader story of America itself. With its rich storytelling, groundbreaking artistry, and powerful performances, Stagecoach stands as one of the most influential westerns ever created. Number 8, The Wild Bunch, 1969. The Wild Bunch exploded onto screens with a ferocity that shattered every rule of the traditional Western. Directed by Sam Peckinpah, this violent elegy for aging outlaws was unlike anything audiences had seen before. It captured the dying days of the Old West through a lens of brutal realism, graphic violence, and tragic brotherhood that stunned critics and viewers across the world. Set during the final moments of frontier lawlessness, the film follows a band of weary gunfighters attempting one last score before the world that shaped them disappears forever. Their lives are marked by loyalty, desperation, and a haunting awareness that time itself is closing in on them. This sense of impending doom gives the film its relentless emotional weight. The production was grueling, featuring complex stunts, intense gun battles, and slow-motion sequences that revolutionized action cinema. Peckinpah pushed for authenticity, demanding real explosions, dirt flying from bullet hits, and stunt performers executing dangerous high-impact falls. His radical style influenced directors like Quentin Tarantino, John Woo, and Kathryn Bigelow. What sets The Wild Bunch apart is its moral complexity. The film refuses to glorify violence, instead portraying it as chaotic, painful, and deeply tragic. Its infamous opening and final shootout remain some of the most shocking scenes ever filmed, their raw brutality forcing audiences to confront the darker truths of frontier survival. Upon release, the film sparked heated debate and censorship battles, yet it was quickly recognized as a masterpiece that redefined the Western for a modern era. With its fearless storytelling and emotional power, The Wild Bunch stands among the most important and uncompromising Westerns in film history. Number 7, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, 1969. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid brought a fresh, modern spirit to the Western genre, blending sharp humor, deep friendship, and inevitable tragedy into a story that still resonates today. Directed by George Roy Hill, the film follows two legendary outlaws whose charm, daring, and camaraderie helped redefine how audiences viewed the frontier outlaw myth. Paul Newman and Robert Redford deliver one of the greatest acting duos in cinema history. Their effortless chemistry turns every conversation and every escape into a moment of pure cinematic magic. Newman plays Butch as a brilliant schemer with an easy smile, while Redford gives Sundance a quiet intensity that makes their partnership unforgettable. Their friendship becomes the soul of the film, transforming an outlaw tale into a poignant exploration of loyalty and fading freedom. The production captured stunning landscapes from Utah to Mexico, giving the journey a sweeping sense of adventure. The film's famous bicycle sequence and music choices, including Raindrops Keep Fallin' on My Head, added a playful modern touch that surprised audiences and critics at the time. Yet beneath its humor lies a powerful sense of melancholy. The world around Butch and Sundance is changing rapidly as lawmen, Pinkerton agents, and modern technology close in. Their struggle against a future they cannot escape gives the film its haunting emotional core. The legendary final scene freezes the outlaws in a moment of desperate bravado, symbolizing their place in American myth as rebels who fought against a world that no longer had room for them. With its unforgettable performances, innovative style, and emotional resonance, this film remains one of the greatest westerns ever made. Number 6. Shane, 1953. Shane is one of the most emotionally pure westerns ever made, a film that marries mythic heroism with intimate human drama. Directed by George Stevens, this masterpiece tells the story of a mysterious gunslinger who arrives at a troubled frontier settlement and becomes a reluctant protector to a family caught in a violent land dispute. What begins as a simple tale of good versus evil evolves into a meditation on sacrifice, responsibility, and the heavy burden of violence. Alan Ladd delivers a quiet, understated performance that defines the archetype of the lone Western hero. His presence is calm, yet filled with unspoken sorrow, hinting at a past shaped by conflict and regret. His bond with the young boy Joey becomes the emotional anchor of the film, capturing the way children see heroes with both awe and innocence. The film's production was meticulous, as Stevens demanded numerous takes to capture subtle expressions and emotional nuance. The breathtaking Wyoming landscapes were filmed with a painterly eye, giving the frontier a golden, haunting beauty. Every sweeping mountain shot and every echoing gunshot contributes to the film's mythic atmosphere. Shane also reshaped Western violence. The sound design made each gunshot feel explosive, reinforcing the idea that violence is never clean, heroic, or without consequence. This realism marked a turning point in the genre's evolution. The closing scene, in which Shane rides off wounded into the mountains, calling out to Joey that he must stay behind, remains one of the most iconic moments in cinema. It symbolizes the eternal loneliness of the Western hero, a figure destined to bring justice but never able to find peace. Shane endures as a timeless pillar of Western storytelling. Number 5. High Noon, 1952. High Noon stands as one of the most gripping moral dramas in Western history, a story of courage, integrity, and isolation told in real time. Directed by Fred Zinnemann, the film follows Marshal Will Kane, who learns that a dangerous outlaw he once arrested is returning on the noon train seeking revenge. With the town's safety at risk, Kane turns to the citizens he has protected for years, only to find that none of them are willing to stand with him. Gary Cooper delivers a powerful, understated performance that earned him an Academy Award. His portrayal captures the fear, determination, and moral clarity of a man abandoned by his community, yet unwilling to run from responsibility. Each passing minute brings the clock closer to noon, creating unbearable tension that mirrors Kane's rising sense of dread. The film's real-time structure was groundbreaking as scenes unfold minute by minute, building toward the fateful showdown. The ticking clock becomes a character of its own, underscoring the themes of duty and betrayal. Grace Kelly adds emotional complexity as Kane's pacifist wife, whose beliefs clash with the harsh reality facing them. Behind the scenes, High Noon was shaped by the political turbulence of the 1950s. The screenwriter Carl Foreman was targeted during the Hollywood blacklist era, and many view the film as an allegory for the fear and silence surrounding that movement. Its message about moral courage in the face of public cowardice still resonates deeply today. The climactic gunfight is swift, brutal, and unforgettable. When the dust settles, the story leaves viewers reflecting on what true bravery means in a world where doing the right thing is often the hardest path. High Noon remains a towering achievement of cinematic storytelling. Number 4. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is not just a Western. It is a cinematic earthquake that transformed the genre forever. Directed by Sergio Leone, this epic follows three ruthless gunslingers whose desperate search for buried Union gold unfolds across a landscape of greed, violence, and shifting allegiances. Every frame carries a mythic intensity that elevates the film into legendary status. Clint Eastwood, Lee Van Cleef, and Eli Wallach create one of the greatest trios in film history. Eastwood's man. With no name moves with icy precision, Van Cleef's angel eyes radiates cold malevolence, and Wallach's Tuco steals every scene with wild humor and raw survival instinct. Their intersecting journeys create a symphony of tension, chaos, and dark comedy. Leone's visual style reshaped filmmaking with extreme close-ups, long silent standoffs, and sweeping wides of the brutal frontier. Combined with Ennio Morricone's iconic score, filled with haunting whistles and pounding rhythms, the film generates an almost operatic intensity. Its gunfights become emotional duels, its landscapes become mythic battlegrounds. The production was massive and demanding as Leone pushed cast and crew through scorching heat, sprawling sets, and ambitious action sequences. The final cemetery showdown, the holding of breath, the circling camera, and the explosive tension is widely considered the greatest standoff ever filmed. The good, the bad, and the ugly became the defining spaghetti western, influencing directors from Martin Scorsese to Quentin Tarantino to Robert Rodriguez. More than half a century later, it still stands as one of the most powerful, original, and influential westerns ever created. Number 3, Once Upon a Time in the West, 1968. Once Upon a Time in the West stands as one of the most visually stunning and thematically ambitious westerns ever created. Directed by Sergio Leone, this epic masterpiece blends operatic storytelling, poetic violence, and mythic grandeur into a film that feels both intimate and colossal. It is a symphony of fate, revenge, and the death of the old frontier. The film's opening sequence is legendary. 3 gunmen wait in total silence for a train to arrive, the creaking windmills, dripping water, and buzzing insects replacing traditional music. When Charles Bronson appears playing a lone harmonica, the tone is set for a haunting and unforgettable story. Henry Fonda delivers the boldest performance of his career, portraying a cold-hearted killer with ice-filled eyes. Cast against his usual heroic type, he becomes a terrifying symbol of the ruthless forces shaping the American West. Claudia Cardinale brings emotional depth as a widow fighting to protect her land, while Jason Robards adds charisma as an outlaw drawn into the struggle. Leone's direction emphasizes operatic scale as vast deserts, lonely railroads, and rising towns reflect the unstoppable wave of industrial progress. Ennio Morricone's score gives each character a distinct musical identity, blending mournful songs, soaring themes, and ghostly harmonica notes that echo across the frontier. The film's narrative is a poetic contemplation of dying eras. Gunslingers are fading, new technologies are rising, and the West itself is transforming into something less wild and more civilized. Through beauty, brutality, and mythic storytelling, Once Upon a Time in the West has earned its place as one of the greatest films ever made. Number 2, Unforgiven, 1992. Unforgiven is Clint Eastwood's dark final word on the Western genre, a film that dismantles myths and exposes the brutal truth beneath frontier legends. It follows William Money, a retired outlaw, who reluctantly returns to violence when hired to avenge a brutal assault. What unfolds is not a tale of heroism, but a harsh meditation on morality, guilt, and the corrosive power of violence. Eastwood delivers a haunting performance, portraying Money as a man hollowed by regret, yet unable to escape the violent instincts of his past. Gene Hackman won an Academy Award for his chilling portrayal of Little Bill, a sheriff who maintains order through cruelty and fear. Morgan Freeman adds emotional gravity as Money's loyal partner whose conscience strains under the weight of their deadly mission. The film rejects romanticized gunfights instead, presenting violence as chaotic, painful, and morally devastating. Every bullet fired leaves emotional scars, and every death carries lasting consequences. Eastwood's direction deliberately strips away genre glamour, showing the West not as a land of heroes, but as a brutal world shaped by desperation and survival. Unforgiven won the Academy Award for Best Picture, and is widely regarded as one of the greatest revisionist westerns ever made. Its legacy reshaped how modern filmmakers approach frontier storytelling, emphasizing character, complexity, moral ambiguity, and psychological realism. With its powerful themes and unforgettable performances, Unforgiven stands as a towering achievement in cinematic history. Number 1, The Searchers, 1956. The Searchers is the most influential Western ever created, a film whose visual language, emotional depth, and moral complexity shaped generations of filmmakers. Directed by John Ford, This sweeping epic follows Ethan Edwards, a war-hardened wanderer who spends years searching for his kidnapped niece. What begins as a rescue mission becomes a haunting exploration of obsession, prejudice, and inner torment. John Wayne gives the greatest performance of his career, portraying Ethan as a man both heroic and deeply flawed. His relentless pursuit is fueled by hatred, grief, and personal demons that make him one of the most complex characters in American cinema. Natalie Wood and Jeffrey Hunter add emotional resonance as the family struggling to survive the trauma that binds them. Ford's use of Monument Valley transforms the landscape into a character of its own. Towering mesas, crimson sand, and endless horizons create an atmosphere of haunting beauty. The iconic doorway shot at the end, Ethan standing alone, framed by darkness, while the family steps into the light, remains one of the most powerful images in film history. The Searchers deals with themes far ahead of its time, including racism, cultural conflict, and psychological trauma. Its influence can be seen in films like Star Wars: Taxi Driver, Lawrence of Arabia, and countless modern westerns. With its unforgettable imagery and emotional power, The Searcher stands as the greatest western ever made. Western films endure because they reveal the raw heart of human courage and conflict. These 12 masterpieces shaped cinema with unforgettable heroes, sweeping landscapes, and emotional truths forged in fire. Whether driven by justice, revenge, or redemption, each story remains timeless. Let these legends ride on in every viewer who loves the frontier spirit.